Elon Musk said this week that his work at DOGE is mostly done, and that he will be stepping back to focus on running Tesla. What does mostly done mean? What do the numbers say about the radical transformation of the US government that Musk had promised only 3 months ago? And if Elon Musk cannot make a dent to the US budget deficit, is there any hope that it will ever be reined back? What does it mean for your money? Axios ran a lead story this week about a heated shouting match between two senior members of the Trump team in the halls just outside the Oval Office. The protagonists of the story were Scott Bessent, Trump's Treasury Secretary, and Elon Musk, the head of DOGE. The clash between the two men apparently got so ugly that F-bombs were flying and that the two started to insult each other. According to Axios, Bessent attacked Musk for overpromising and underdelivering budget cuts with DOGE. And Musk hit back by calling Bessent a Soros agent and a failed hedge fund manager. What caught my attention in the story is what Bessent said about DOGE. Only a few weeks ago, Bessent has sounded quite positive about DOGE and its work. In an interview on February 18th, Bessent even suggested that the cost-cutting effort could even eventually lead to several percentage of GDP of savings. Is it possible that Bessent is having second thoughts? One thing is for sure, given the Department of the Treasury is responsible for paying all the bills of the federal government, if there's one person who should know about how much actual progress DOGE has made, it would be Scott Bessent. Is this why Musk is going after Bessent and undermining his credibility? A week before the 2024 elections, Elon Musk made headlines by promising to help Trump find $2 trillion worth of cuts in federal spending. In January, he started tempering expectations. He said in an interview just before the inauguration that I think if we try for $2 trillion, then we've got a good shot at getting $1. Earlier this month, Musk revised down his projection again. He said at a cabinet meeting on April 11th that he expected to cut $150 billion from the 2026 budget from a reduction of waste and fraud. When I first saw the story, I was sure that the mainstream media had maliciously misquoted him. Surely, Musk, the richest man in the world, couldn't have gotten it so wrong. But the fact was that Musk had made no effort to dispute the quote, which says it all. Moreover, this week he said he was nearly at the end of his work at DOGE and was planning to focus on running his business again. Whatever happened to Musk's ambitious cost-saving drive that was going to change how the US government does business once for all? The US federal government spent $7 trillion last year. $150 billion will represent a saving just 2%. What about all those millions of dead people that Musk claimed were living on Social Security? Is it possible that the US government is so efficiently run that even the most successful entrepreneur in modern times can only find 2% fat to trim? It's been 3 months since Trump was sworn in. This means DOGE has had 3 months to work its magic. 3 months is not a lot of time, but if Elon Musk says that DOGE is close to finishing his work, then there's no reason why we shouldn't take him at his word and make at least a preliminary evaluation. There's a lot of information about federal spending in the daily Treasury statement. What conclusions can we draw from it about what DOGE has or has not achieved over the past 3 months? The daily Treasury statement provides a detailed breakdown of withdrawals from the Treasury's general account, that is the federal government's checking account from which it makes all its payments. Withdrawals are not the same thing as spending, as withdrawals can also involve transactions like debt redemption and tax refunds. If we remove those transactions and interest payments from total withdrawals, then we arrive at something that should be very close to the non-interest expenses of the federal government. My calculation shows that since Inauguration Day, these daily withdrawals added up to about $1.7 trillion. Comparing to the same period in 2024, this represents a 9% increase, which is of course faster than nominal GDP growth. Hard to see any evidence of spending cuts here. But is it possible that the increase in non-interest expenses is due primarily to entitlement benefits that DOGE cannot directly affect? Musk talks about dead people receiving Social Security checks and babies taking out loans from the Small Business Administration. I don't doubt that things like that happen, but DOGE has yet to prove the existence of large-scale welfare frauds that amount to tens of billions of dollars, let alone hundreds of billions of dollars. I never thought catching fraud was going to fix the US budget deficit, so I'm not going to judge DOGE based on what happens to entitlement-related spending. So I'm going to also remove from my withdrawal calculation all entitlement spending such as Social Security, Medicare, payment to states for Medicaid, unemployment insurance benefits, veteran benefits, and payment related to the Federal Retirement Threat Saving Plan. With this, I should have an approximation of the daily discretionary spending of the US government. Since the inauguration day, this comes to about $790 billion. This compares to $730 billion for the same period in 2024, representing an 8% increase, which is still faster than nominal GDP growth. DOGE has made a lot of noise, but it is hard to reconcile the talk of spending cuts with the high growth rate of discretionary spending. So let's drill a little deeper. There are two places where spending cuts should be showing up, but are not. Or not yet anyway. Since Inauguration Day, $61 billion have been paid in terms of federal salaries, which is 5% higher than the same period in 2024. If there's been any reduction in headcount, the impact on the government's cash flows is so far negligible. The General Services Administration is an independent agency that supports the basic functioning of the US government. It is the acquisition and procurement arm of the federal government, offering equipment, supplies, telecommunications to federal agencies. Since DOGE is all about cutting waste, we should expect to see a meaningful decline in withdrawals from the Treasury General Account by the General Services Administration. Yet, since the inauguration, total withdrawals by the GSA amount to $9 billion, nearly 1% higher than the comparable period in 2024. A bit disappointing, to say the least. It's even more disturbing when we look at the spending at the level of individual government departments. With the exception of the Department of Education and the State Department, most of the departments have seen double-digit spending growth since Trump's inauguration. The media is full of stories about how much damage DOGE has done to the Department of Veteran Affairs. But spending there is up 37%, and this is just the administration costs of the department and does not even include the benefit payout. Trump has bragged about the downsizing of the State Department and the various international assistance programs. But the State Department is not a big department to begin with. Cutting 50% of it and the elimination of funding for all international programs will save less than $30 billion a year, which is less than 2% of the budget deficit. Let's turn briefly to some of the smaller government agencies and programs. Here, with the exception of NASA, other major agencies and programs have seen an increase in spending since Trump's inauguration, including, ironically, the EPA. Maybe cutting spending requires increasing spending first. But it's difficult to see how Musk can think that DOGE's work is nearly done. It looks like Elon Musk is on his way out. And sadly, it looks like he won't have too much to show for. The question of whether Musk underestimated the challenge of what he took on doesn't really interest me. What does interest me is the economic and market implications of his retreat. In my view, there are three obvious implications. One, Musk has been publicly and openly opposed to Trump's sweeping tariffs. His exit would only help strengthen the anti-trade forces and China hawks inside the administration. Two, the large spending cuts that Musk promised would have helped offset the inflationary effects of Trump's tariff war. The fact that these cuts have been scaled back massively takes away the one excuse for the Federal Reserve to bring down interest rates quickly. 3, the large spending cuts that Musk promised would have made it easier for extending Trump's 2017 tax cuts. Without them, the fiscal negotiation in Washington will be an ugly affair that is unlikely to be resolved before the debt ceiling becomes binding sometime this summer. Nobody can take away from Elon Musk what he's achieved as an entrepreneur and innovator. But I suspect his 3-month stint as the head of DOGE won't be remembered as the game changer that it might have been. Elon Musk could have made America great. What's more, if even Elon Musk, with all his political clout, cannot rein in out-of-control spending in Washington, I'm starting to think that nothing will. In this respect, I can't help but to think that Musk's exit should be viewed as bullish for gold. Thank you for listening.